Good morning, everyone. Can you see my screen? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello? Okay. Just give me a minute. I'll start today's session. Okay. So I hope you had a great weekend. And let's just quick recap what we discussed on Friday. On Friday, we started S3 topic. We started S3 topic. And I told you S3 is similar to Google Drive. I said S3 is similar to Google Drive. I compared it with Google Drive just because for easy understanding. Apart from what kind of features that Google Drive is offering, S3 offers some more features. That's why I explained what are the lab topics that I'm going to cover. Correct. So, but first of all, what is S3? S3 means simple storage service. It is basically to store any objects. And I said the difference between S3 and EBS. EBS is block storage, but S3 is object storage. Correct. Not only that, if you want to access the object or if you want to access the files or any content which is in EBS, you need to attach that EBS volume to an EC2 instance. Then only you'll be able to access it. But coming to S3 bucket, you need not to connect to any instance. You can directly access through URL. I'm going to show you how to create a bucket in S3 and how to upload an object and how to access that object. I'm going to show you today. So first of all, when you're uploading any files or any videos in Google Drive, so you create a folder, right? And when you create the folder, by default it is private, which means nobody else can access until and unless you share them access. Correct. In the same way, when you create a bucket, when you create an S3 bucket, by default it is private in nature. It is private in nature. For example, when someone wants to enter into your house, and if your door is locked inside, right, then people can't enter into, right? Even though you ask them to enter, you need to open the door, which means just like that, if people want to access, if customers or anybody, any team members want to access what are the objects which are there in your bucket, it can be a video object, audio object, file object, anything. So then you need to make this as public. You need to make this bucket as public. So once you make the bucket as public, then you can, it's up to you whether you want to make the objects within the bucket are public or private. So first thing is, bucket is the outer layer. If you don't make the bucket as public, and if you make the objects as public, then there is no use. Correct. So for example, in your house there are multiple rooms, bedroom, children room, etc. And you close the main door and you open the room door of a child room or master bedroom, but still can people enter inside? They can't enter inside, right? Because you have to open the main door. Then if you want to restrict, then you can close the children's bedroom or master bedroom, then you can restrict like that, isn't it? In the same way, when one second. Okay, in the same way, when you're uploading any objects, when you created a bucket, so you need to make the bucket as public. Then inside, when you make the bucket as public, inside the objects you can restrict what kind of objects that people should access, what kind of objects people should not access, kind of things, right? So let me go to AWS console and let me show you how to create an S3 bucket, and we'll discuss various features which are available with this S3 option. Okay. So this is one of the storage service. If you want to access, go to services and you need to look under storage. Yes, click on storage. So under storage, you will find S3, scalable storage in the cloud, or you can directly type S3. It's up to you. Okay. Now navigate to S3. Okay. Currently, I don't have any buckets created. I do not have any buckets created. Let me create on a bucket. And one thing you must notice is when I clicked on this S3, it is showing as global for me. It is showing as global for me. So if you remember, when we were creating instances, EC2 instances, then we had to select explicitly in which region you want to create your EC2 instance. Can it be Mumbai region or Singapore region or London region? But for S3, it is showing as global. So why it is showing as global? We'll understand, because it is a centralized thing. So S3 is a centralized thing. You will be creating bucket in the different regions, but you can find what are your buckets and in which region they are created in a single place. I'm repeating, guys. You can see everything on a single page, like how many buckets you have and what is the region in which you created the bucket. Everything you can get it from the single page. That's why it is showing global here. So you have to explicitly select in which region you want to create at the later point of time, which I'm going to show you now. So what you have to do, click on create bucket. Click on create bucket. Now, if you remember, when you're creating a bucket, so you need to give a name for the bucket and it must be unique. It must be unique across AWS. So it is not particularly for your account, guys. It is for across AWS, which means if, for example, if AWS has 3,000 clients, let us suppose 3,000 accounts are there, 3,000 clients are there, and this bucket name must be unique among all the 3,000. That's why I gave you the example of Gmail ID for you. So entire Google account, you will have your unique Gmail ID, right? So in Outlook ID, it may be the username might be same. But when it comes to Google account, you will have your unique name, Gmail ID, correct? In the same way, when you're creating a bucket in S3, so in S3, that should be unique across all the AWS accounts, right? It will throw an error, in fact, if you don't follow, if you don't give a unique name. I'll show you. Okay, first, give bucket name. So they are also giving example as my AWS account, my AWS bucket. Let's type this, my AWS bucket, let us suppose, and the region is, so you can select the region, in which region you want to select, see, Mumbai region, Osaka, Seoul, Singapore. So I'm keeping Mumbai region here. Now I told you, right, this bucket name must be unique. Let me try to click on next and we'll see whether it's going to error an error or not. So click create bucket. See what it says. It says bucket with same name already exists. Bucket with the same name already exists. That's why you need to give a unique name when you are creating a bucket. And there are also certain rules, guys, when you are creating a bucket. So if you want to see those rules, just click here. These are the rules need to be followed when you're creating a bucket. Bucket names must be between 3 to 63 characters long. So which means you can, when you're creating a bucket name, it minimum should have 3 characters and maximum 63 characters. It should be between 3 to 63. Okay. Bucket names can consist only lowercase letters, which means if you are trying to create a bucket with my AWS, for example, so it will throw an error, not only because there is a already existing name, also because you have given capital letter here. So it should not be a capital letter. It should be all letters should be lower. That's what it says. Okay, consist only lower case letters and numbers, dots, and hyphens. So these are the allowed symbols. These are the allowed symbols when you're creating any bucket. And bucket names must begin and end with a letter or number. So you can end, which means you cannot start a bucket name with hyphen or dot, or you cannot end a bucket name with a dot or hyphen, because that's what they're saying. Bucket names must begin and end with a letter or number. That is a criteria. And bucket names must not contain two adjacent periods. So which means you cannot have two dots. You cannot have two dots in the bucket name continue, sequentially. Then bucket names must not be formatted as an IP address. For example, this is an example for IP address, right? Your bucket name, since numbers are allowed and dots are allowed, that doesn't mean that you can create a bucket name with the IP address format. So that is not applicable. That's what it says. Bucket names must not start with prefix xn hyphen hyphen. So what they are saying is xn hyphen hyphen. The bucket name must not start with these letters, because these are some reserved characters or reserved format of AWS to identify their resources internally, to perform, to provide their services internally. That's why they're clearly stating that please don't use these two words followed by hyphen hyphen. All right. And bucket names must not end with a suffix called hyphen S3 alias. So because this suffix is reserved for access point alias names. So what are these access points and all? We'll understand when we are learning about CloudFront. Okay, so these are some of the basic rules. You can even go through it when you are practicing it, but you need to follow all these certain rules. All these certain rules when you're creating a bucket name. Now what I'll do, I will name it as test. I'll name it as test bucket. Then to make it as a unique name, I'll give a hyphen. Then I will enter some random characters. So I'm entering some random characters so that there is no meaning for these random characters. So that's why definitely I'll have a unique bucket name. Definitely I'll have a unique bucket name. See, the intention is you need to prepare a unique bucket name, right? So that's why for testing purpose, for practice purpose, I'm just giving some random characters. But in real time, your company will follow certain naming conventions when you're creating a bucket, and they will ensure that the bucket name is unique, and they'll give you that name to create the bucket name. Okay. And selecting the region, I've explained, right? So you will select the region based on your requirement. Then, so these copy settings from existing bucket means this is an optional. So this is a optional thing. So in real time, so when you have to copy any settings from the buckets which are already existing, then you can choose this option. Otherwise, you can start it from scratch. And this is an optional one. So coming to object ownership. So what is this object ownership? When you're creating a bucket, you need to restrict, right? So this is your bucket, let us suppose. And these are the objects within the bucket. Now, who should be able to access these objects, right? Who should be able to access this object? Everyone, or only few people, or only a selected group of people? For that, you have two options. One thing is ACLs disabled means it will use policies. You will write policies for the permissions to grant permissions. But if you say ACLs enabled means you're using access control list. So there are two types, guys, to restrict permissions for S3 objects. So one is by writing policies. Another one is by using ACLs. ACL means access control list. I'll tell you what are these access control lists. But for now, you can just remember that. So even though it is recommended, we are using ACLs enabled. Just select ACLs enabled here. So this will allow you to restrict who should access it and who should not access it. All right. Now you can keep the default option bucket owner preferred. So whatever the bucket owner is there, whatever he's creating the access control list, that will be applicable for the objects which we are uploading within the bucket. Now, coming to block public access settings for this bucket. If you see, as I told you before, when you create a bucket or when you create a Google folder in Google Drive, by default, that is private in nature. And you need to explicitly allow access to the users or to your friends or to your family members to view the videos or photos, correct? In the same way, since I'm creating this bucket for the first time, so by default nature it is blocking all public access. It is blocking all public access, which means nobody can access your bucket. But when you're uploading any objects, when someone wants to access it, so just like I gave you example of your house, if you close your main door, it doesn't make any difference even if you close or open your master bedroom door or kids bedroom door, correct? So you need to open your main door so that people can come inside and they can access either master bedroom or kids bedroom. Just like that, when you're uploading objects within your bucket, you need to allow public access. If you don't allow, people cannot access your objects. Correct? That's why what I'm going to do here, I'm going to uncheck this part. I'm going to uncheck this button. So when I uncheck this button, it says turning off block all public access might result in this bucket and objects within becoming public. See, I'm creating my bucket just because so that you can access the objects. You can see the objects what I'm putting in the bucket. So that is my requirement. So it's a warning. So warning you can ignore considering that this is your requirement. So what you have to do is you have to click on acknowledge. You have to acknowledge that, okay, I have deliberately allowing public access to the bucket. That's why AWS is asking you to select acknowledge. Now coming to versioning. So what is this versioning? I told you, right, advantages of versioning. So if you enable versioning, so you will get two advantages. One advantage is you can recover the object at any point of time, even though you delete it intentionally or accidentally. Another thing is that you will maintain your files in the form of versions. Like every time when you're making any modifications, when you're uploading that file again to the bucket, so it will be created like a new bucket, new file, and that file will have the information of the previous file as well. Okay? That's what I gave you example last time. Now, and this is if you want to enable, I mean, by default, it is disabled. If you want to enable, you can enable it or you can disable it. So coming to tags. So these tags are basically track storage cost or the criteria by tagging your bucket. So these tags are basically what kind of objects that you're showing. I mean, why this bucket is created, what is the purpose of the bucket, what kind of objects you're going to store. For example, so you created this bucket to store Telugu movies. Let us suppose Telugu movies. In that case, so what you can do, you can add a tag called name as Telugu movies, like that, so that you will understand as soon as you look at the bucket. By looking at the tags, you will understand, okay, what is the purpose of the bucket creation? What is the purpose of this bucket? And so, okay, now this is encryption. So what is this default encryption? So automatically encrypt new objects stored in this bucket. So which means, so this is your bucket, and whatever the objects are being stored in this bucket, so all objects should be encrypted. So if that is your criteria, you can enable it. You can enable it. Now what will happen when you encrypt it? So when the objects are being stored, they are encrypted. But when you're accessing it, when you're reading it, you will see like a normal object, but at the rest, when exactly being stored, they are encrypted by using some encrypting methodologies. So which means nobody else, even AWS can't see your data if you encrypt it. If you encrypt the data, if you enable encryption, even AWS resources also cannot see the data. That is the advantage if you encrypt the data. And it is optional. I mean, you can encrypt or decrypt it. I mean, you can disable it also. So by default, it is a disabled nature. In real time, people enable it. So I mean, in real time companies, when you're storing objects, depending on the requirement, you enable encryption. All right. So that's it, guys, pretty much. So we have given all the required options. So this should be a unique name. So that's why it should not throw any error when I'm creating the bucket. So let me create a bucket. Select it. See, the bucket is created because I've given unique name. So now, if you want to upload any object to this bucket, how to do it? Select the bucket. Now, once you select the bucket, you see, you have option here. You have option to upload anything. So you can upload folders or you can upload files. So any objects you can upload from here. So just click on here. So click on upload. So when you click on upload, you're getting options again. Whether do you want to add files or whether you want to add folder. I told you, right? It is, even though the outermost part of outermost layer is called as bucket, within bucket, you can add files or add folders just like you are adding in Google Drive, right? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add one file. So you can even simply drag and drop whatever the object that you have. You can drag and drop here, or what you can do is you can simply click on add files. So when you click on add files, so I'm in downloads folder. So let me upload one image. Let me upload one image. So for practical purpose, so I'm uploading this image called nature. Select it. And it shows so files and folders. What is the size of the file? What is the name of the file? What is the type of the file? So you see, so I did not select it's image, but it automatically understood that it's an image file, and it is the size of the file. Now, what is the destination? So this destination is S3 column. So which means this is a bucket name. So this is the bucket name. So where you're uploading it. So it's saying that you're uploading to this bucket under S3. Now coming to permissions. Scroll down. I told you right under permissions, since we have chosen access control list. So that's why you're seeing access control list here. Correct. So now whether you want to make it as private or grant public access. For example, now I'm uploading this object. Okay, so now I'm uploading this object. I want you to see the object, whatever I'm uploading into my bucket. So if this is my requirement, I need to make it as grant public access. If I allow public access, then only if I share you the URL, you can see it. You can restrict it later point of time. That's fine. But for now, as a practice purpose, I'm going to upload this object to S3 bucket, and I'm going to share you the URL so that you should also able to see what are the image that I upload into my S3 bucket. That's why you have to select grant public access. Click on grant public access. Right. So again, it is throwing a warning stating that you're granting public read access. It is not recommended. That's fine. So it is practice purpose. So that's why I understood the risk and I understood your warning and I'm uploading it. That's why you have to acknowledge it. So click on acknowledge. I understand the risk. Now click on upload. So that's it. Your object is uploaded. Now, how to access this object? How to access this object? If you want to access this object, so select this object first. Now you see there are so many options are here, right? So who is the owner of this object and in which region the object is created? What is S3 URI? What is ARN? What is entity tag? What is object URL? So S3 URI and ARN. So these are related to AWS. So sometimes when some applications are accessing some applications are trying to access objects which are stored in S3. So your developers might ask you for S3 URI or ARN. For if you want to use some AWS resources to access another AWS resource, then at this point of time you have to give ARN, which is Amazon resource name. So Amazon resource name is it is unique within the AWS account within AWS. So that's why it says Amazon resource name. I'll explain in upcoming classes when exactly you have to use ARN. But this S3 URI you can use it within your application when you want to mention clearly in your application that your objects are within this S3 bucket. Then at that point of time you use URI. URI means uniform resource indicator, right? And this is all about tag, whether you are adding any description to the object. And so this is object URL. So what is this object URL? Now, if you want to access this image, if others want to access this image, you need to share this URL. You need to share this URL. Now copy this URL. Okay. And I'm putting it in the group chat. Just try to access, guys, whether you're able to access this image or not. Just let me know whether you're able to access it or not. Let me know whether you're able to access it or not. Yes, you're able to access, right? So this is how you have to create a bucket and upload the object within the bucket and enable public access if others want to access this image, right? Okay. Yeah. Now, so what I'll do, I'll create another bucket. I'll create another bucket and I'll show you how to delete that bucket as well. I'll show you how to delete that bucket as well. Click on create bucket. I'll name it as, so I'll create this bucket in Singapore. So I'll name it as Singapore hyphen some random characters to make this bucket name as unique. Then I'll be creating it in Singapore region, ACLs enabled and allow public access. I'm keeping the default options. Then create bucket. That's it, created. Before I start this S3 topic, I told you, right? So it is showing as global here because what are the number of buckets are there in S3 and which region are in the buckets are created, you will see in a centralized location. So this is a central page. This is like central page. Now you see there is one bucket in Singapore, one bucket in Mumbai. In real time, your company has multiple buckets in multiple regions. All buckets you can see in the same page. So you need not to navigate to multiple regions, because coming to EC2, you have to select the particular region. Then only you'll be able to see what are the EC2 instances are created for Singapore region or Mumbai region or London region. But coming to S3 bucket, it is not the case. You will see global here. So which means whatever the buckets that you're creating in different regions, everything you can see from the same place. Everything you can see from the same place. Now let me try to upload the same object in Singapore bucket also. So let me select Singapore. Now if I want to upload the object, so this time I'll try to drag and drop. So this time I'll try to drag and drop the object. Now see, 1 second. So I dragged and dropped it. Last time I uploaded, right? But this time I dragged and dropped it. Now select permissions, grant public access. I understand the risk. Now upload it. So it is uploaded. It is uploaded to Singapore bucket also now. Now, if you want to delete this, if you want to delete the bucket, I'm showing you the deletion steps. If you want to delete the bucket, so click on delete. The condition here is if there are objects within the bucket, you cannot directly delete it. You cannot directly delete it. You need to delete the objects first, which means you need to click on empty. If you click on empty, it will ask you to delete the objects which are in the bucket. Without deleting the objects in the bucket, you cannot delete the bucket itself. It will throw you an error. So let me show you. So I'm trying to delete the bucket, and the bucket has, Singapore bucket already has an object called nature, right? Now I should not be able to delete the bucket directly. Click on here. It says the bucket is not empty. Bucket must be empty before they can be deleted. To delete all the objects, so you can click on empty bucket. So what you can do is you can delete each object individually, or if you want to delete all the objects at a time, you can simply click on empty bucket. So if you click on empty bucket, it is asking you to provide the confirmation that whether you really want to delete whatever the objects are there within the bucket. Currently, I have only one object, but in real time, if you have multiple objects, also you need to mention this permanently deleted. Now click on empty. Now it is emptied. So now it is emptied. Click on exit. Now you will be able to delete it directly from here. Click on delete option. Now it is asking you to enter the bucket name to confirm the deletion of the bucket. To confirm the deletion, enter the name of the bucket in the text field. So it is taking two-way verification. So one is that as soon as you say delete, it is not deleting. It is asking you to confirm delete. It is asking you to provide bucket names. All these are additional controls. Additional controls in sense to avoid accidental deletion. So if any person wants to delete, if he's trying to delete, or probably he tried to delete unintentionally, then he cannot copy paste it right again. So that's why these are additional checkpoints. Now paste it. Now delete bucket. See, the bucket is deleted. Now Singapore bucket is not there. We have only Mumbai bucket. So on Friday, I told you there are so many options that we are going to learn practically and theoretically, right? So I'm going to show you on a high level now. So from tomorrow onwards, I'll show you those practical topics, right? So just check once. Let me explain. These properties there are some properties which are at bucket level. There are some properties at bucket level. There are some properties and options at object level. Now we are going to see that once. I'll walk you through where you can find bucket level properties and where you can find object level properties. So tomorrow I'm going to explain practically what are the S3 lab topics that I have said, like enable versioning, replication, S3 transfer acceleration, storage classes, lifecycle management, everything. Okay. So now let's look at bucket level permissions, bucket level things. So when you create this bucket, so the moment you create a bucket, you'll have this entry. On a high level, you will see whether it is in which region it is created and what is the access type, whether it is public, whether it is private, and when exactly it is created, that information you can see. Now, when you click on this bucket, the very first page will have, what are the objects which are already present in that bucket, right? Followed by, so and if you want to create any folder in the bucket, that option you can see here, and you can even upload any objects here. Now go to properties tab. So there are so many tabs here, right? Go to properties tab. So if you want to enable versioning, I know at the time of creating the bucket, we were getting an option whether you want to enable versioning or not. But another option is if you don't want to enable versioning at the time of creation of the bucket, but if you want to enable it at the later point of time, you can do it from this option. You can see from this option. Excuse me. Since it is disabled, it is showing as disabled. Now, if you want to enable, it will turn into enabled. Okay. Now, tags. So tags also same as I explained. So what exactly, for example, you can give a tag called name and you can add Telugu movies. So which means you're trying to store Telugu movies in this bucket. Just for your understanding, you can add additional information using tags. Now, default encryption, as I mentioned, if you want to enable encryption at a bucket level, see, whatever the things that you're what I'm showing, they are at bucket level, not object level. You will have similar permissions at object level as well. Now, whatever if I apply on bucket level, so they will by default apply at object level as well. But if you want to change it at object level separately, even you enable it at bucket level, then you can explicitly change it for the object, right? Okay. Now, so default encryption, whether you want to enable it or not, you have to do it from here. Yeah. Now, when I'm explaining these topics in S3, just remember, guys, few are theoretically important and practically important. Few options, and few options, they are theoretically only important. Practical is not required, because why theoretically important? You may get some questions in the certification exam. That's why I'm explaining theory as well. And few topics, they're not at all important. Not at all important in the sense they are not being widely used, or probably they are new. So that's why I simply say that is not required. You need not to understand that. Got it? So I'll explain whenever I mention it is both theoretical and practical important. I'm going to show you practically. If it is theoretical important means, so you must understand that you might get question in certification. And if it is not important in the sense, it is not in scope and not being widely used. Correct? Now, so this option, intelligent tiering, intelligent tiering archive configuration. So this option is not required. So this is, not being widely used. So that's why this option is not required, and it falls under the third category, whatever I said here. So which is not important. Okay. Now let's go to server access logging. So what is this server access logging? So server access logging in the sense, for example, this is my bucket. Okay. And I have so many objects here, and so many people are trying to access my bucket. So many people are trying to access my bucket, and they are accessing my objects. Now, at a time, I want to know who all are accessing my object. For example, I have shared you my object URL, right? And I shared with all of you. I don't know how many people have accessed and how many did not access. Now, if I want to capture the details of the people or IP address of the people who access the object, then if I want to know, then you need to enable server access logging. So if you enable server access logging, what will happen? It log requests for accesses to your bucket. So whoever is trying to access your bucket, whoever is trying to access the object, that will be captured by the S3. So that's why if you want to capture that, you can enable server access logging. Now, what is the benefit? So the benefit is you can see a file like this. So and so person accessed at this time. So and so person accessed this object at this time. That kind of logging it will be generated. Then you will use it for your in real time. You will use it for troubleshooting purpose, or to find out how many people are accessing my object and all. To know those kind of details, you will be enabling this server access logging option. All right, and this is optional. I mean, you can enable it, or you can keep it as disabled. Coming to AWS CloudTrail events. So what are these CloudTrail events, guys. So CloudTrail is a separate service. If you want, I'll show you. CloudTrail. See, CloudTrail is a separate service. I'm going to explain in the upcoming classes what is this CloudTrail and all. So what CloudTrail will do, I'll explain now. What CloudTrail will do and what CloudTrail can do. So CloudTrail, it captures all the data events. For example, so here, when you enable server access logging, so what it's going to do, whoever is trying to access your object, that it is capturing, right? Now, apart from that, let's say you have a team of 20 people or 30 people, and they are working on S3 and they are uploading some objects and they are deleting some objects, they're making some modifications. Now, if you want to capture whatever the activities are being done by your team, then you can enable CloudTrail data events. So if you enable this CloudTrail data events, then you can see, for example, when Rajesh logged into, for example, I logged into this account and I added some object, and then you logged into this account and you made some changes and all. So what kind of changes I have done and what kind of changes that you have done, if you want to capture that, you need to enable CloudTrail data events. So it captures everything. Like, for example, you modified the object, or you deleted the object, or you created a new bucket, and created by whom, all these kind of things, it will be captured. And I'm going to show you in the upcoming classes, when I explain CloudTrail, what is the advantage of CloudTrail, what you can monitor as an event. Okay. Now coming to event notifications. So what are these event notifications? Again, these event notifications are SNS. SNS means simple notification service. Simple notification service. And right, simple notification service is another web service which I'm going to cover in the upcoming classes. So you can integrate. See, in AWS, whatever the services that you are learning, those services are interrelated to other services. Which means you can integrate one service with another service. So that's why whenever sometimes whenever you use one service, you will try to see the options related to other service, and I'll be explaining these services whenever it is needed, because I'm in S3 topic now. That's why I'm focusing on S3. About SNS and CloudTrail, I'll teach you at the upcoming classes. But for now, you can just understand that whenever any object is created, whenever object is deleted, if you want to get such kind of notifications, then you need to create event notifications. If you click on event notifications, you will get an email or SMS. You will have to configure it. How to configure it and all, I'll explain in SNS, but you can leverage that. You can use SNS feature under S3 as well. That's what you need to understand. Okay. Then coming to transfer acceleration, and I need not to explain, right? What is transfer acceleration? So for example, your bucket is in London region, and your two team members are very far geographically, right? So when they are really very far geographically, and they want to upload objects into your bucket with the same speed like other people, we have edge locations. We have so many edge locations, more than 300 or 400 edge locations. So then now if you enable transfer acceleration, what will happen? So the object will be first loaded to the nearest edge location. From that edge location, it will be uploaded into the bucket. And this speed depends on AWS network. And this speed, it depends on your local internet service provider. Now, if you want to enable that option, you have to select this, transfer acceleration. I'm going to show you practically in upcoming classes how to enable this and all, but I'm showing it a high level where exactly the options are there. Right? And coming to object log. So what is this object log? This is your bucket, and you have certain objects here. And if you don't want to delete this object at any point of time, just like, store objects using a write once read memory. So which means this will help you to prevent objects being deleted or, overwritten for a fixed amount of time. So which means you have created this object and you decided you don't want to delete it or modify it for 1 year, for example. So at that point of time, what you can do, you can enable this object log. But you have to notice one thing here. Amazon S3 currently does not support enabling object log after a bucket has been created. So to enable object log for this bucket, contact customer support. So few services by default are not given to you. And if you want to opt that service, then you need to contact the customer support. So one of the option is this one, object lock. So in an interview also, if you get a question, so can I apply object lock directly? You should say, at the beginning, currently AWS R3 is not giving object lock option. And you can explain what is object lock. And you can also explain that if you want to get that permission, you have to contact customer support, right? That's what you can see. Now, okay, requested pace. So what is this requested pace? What is this option? If you remember on Friday, I was explaining replication. I was giving an example of replication. Let's say this is Raj from Mumbai region, and I have a bucket, right? And this is Sai from Singapore region, and he has a bucket. And whatever the objects are there within my bucket, Sai also wants to have same object, correct? Let us suppose Sai is from different company and I am from a different company, but Sai wants to have the objects whatever I have here. Now, since Sai is from different company and he is requesting me to enable replication and all, so I don't want to pay fee for moving the files from this place to this place, because right, I explained you what are the various charges you will have under S3. For data transfer also you will have charges, like when you're accessing the object or when you're uploading object and all. Since it is a requirement from Sai to get the objects, so I'm enabling replication on behalf of his request. So that's why I don't want to get any bill for the movement of data, for the copying of data. Rather, I want Sai to get the bill and Sai to pay it. In that case, what you can do, you can select requested pace. If you select requested pace option, you will not have bill for the amount of for the amount that you're transferring from this bucket to this bucket. Sai will get the bill. Sai will get the bill. So in real time also, if you maintain multiple accounts, one for development environment, one for QA environment, one for production environment, and billing, if you think that billing should be separated for each environment, and if it is development environment and this is testing environment, let us suppose, and if you're uploading objects from this bucket to this bucket, and the request is from QA environment, and QA environment should get the bill, in that case you can enable requested pace. So in a simple terms, if you enable requested pace, means whoever is requesting the objects to be copied, then he will get the bill, not the person, not the source place, because this is source here, Mumbai source, and this is destination, and the request is from destination, let us suppose. Then destination person or destination account gets the bill for the for the charges related to transferring of the objects from this bucket to this bucket. Okay, so this is the concept of requested pace. Now, what about static website hosting? And I told you, right, static website hosting means you can host a website using the S3 bucket. So in this S3 bucket, if you store index.html, let us suppose, or any file, if you store index.html, and if you enable static website hosting, and you will be getting one URL once you enable static website hosting, you can give that website URL to your end users, and they can access your website. And I'm going to show you practically how to do it. Okay. Now go to permissions tab. So under permissions, if you see, we have already selected allow public access. We have selected allow public access. And I also told you there are two types of options when you're under permissions. So one is bucket level policy, another one is ACLs. And I said we are going to use ACLs, and because if it is bucket policy, everything you have to write in a JSON script. In real time, in your company, if they want to use bucket policy, the bucket policy will be given by your developers, what kind of bucket policy you have to upload. But since our practice purpose, this involves coding and all, that's why I'm choosing access control list. And you can achieve the same features using bucket policy or access control list. The features will be same. But here, if you want to restrict it, you need to write a JSON script. I'll show you what is a sample, how it looks and all. I'll show you sample bucket policy in JSON. Okay, let me select this one. So this is how a sample JSON public bucket policy looks like. ID, version, statement, action, delete object. So which means that particular person can delete the object, that particular person can put object. So affect allow, or you can put deny. So these kind of access control list policies that you can prepare using bucket policy. This will be applicable for bucket, and this is a JSON script. Since coding is involved, we are not using this bucket policy. Rather, we are using access control list, and you can achieve both the features, right? But this is how a bucket policy looks like. All right. Now, okay. Object ownership, I've already said, right? So bucket owner, whoever the bucket created, so he can own the object. And coming to access control list, so this access control list, I'll explain in clearly in upcoming classes. So bucket owner, by default, bucket owner can list the objects and write the objects. Bucket owner can create access control list by default, and others by default they will not have access, and it is you who have to give the access if you want to, if others want to access it or not. And I'll explain in detail about access control list in the upcoming classes. Okay. Now coming to other option, which is cross origin resource sharing. So this is just theoretical important, guys. It is not practical important, but I'll show you. I mean, I will explain what is this cross origin resource sharing. Let us suppose this is your bucket, and this bucket is in Mumbai, let us suppose, and you have another bucket which is in Singapore region. Now in real time, you have so many customers. You have so many customers who are accessing your bucket to view the objects, correct? So they are, and you have given Mumbai bucket URL. You have given Mumbai bucket URL. So all customers are trying to access your Mumbai bucket and they are viewing the objects. But let us suppose there are some objects which are in Singapore region as well. There are some Singapore region as well. Now, in some companies, some countries, they will have some data sharing policies. They have some data sharing restrictions. What they do, when you're viewing the data, right? So you're viewing the data and you're not downloading the data currently at this point of time. Now, for this viewing of the data also, some countries, they restrict, if the users are from other country, they should not be able to access it directly. They should not be able to access it directly by connecting to Singapore servers. For example, if such kind of requirement is there, what you can do, you can enable cross-origin resource sharing. Then for few objects where the data is in Singapore region, what will happen? Customers will be accessing Mumbai bucket only, but at the back end, the request will go to Singapore region and it will pull the object to Mumbai region. I mean, it will allow customers to view this object via Mumbai bucket. See, from Mumbai region to Singapore region means within AWS account. That is fine. But the condition here is customers should not be able to directly connect to Singapore bucket. Maybe if it is due to restrictions in Singapore country. In that case, what you can do, you can enable cross-origin resource sharing. So that will allow a connection between Mumbai bucket to Singapore bucket. Okay. Then at that point of time, so connection will be established. And customers will not be able to see that because it happens at the back end. So, and only for those objects which are in Singapore bucket, then this cross-origin resource sharing will be enabled. Then customers will be able to see the objects which are in Singapore bucket. So this is, if this is a requirement, you can enable it. And in real time, we don't use it much. That's why it is just sharing you the theory that cross-origin resource sharing option is also there. And again, you have to prepare this cross-origin resource sharing also using JSON policy. I'll show you the sample one. Sample cross-origin sharing policy. See, so this is also cross-origin resource sharing policy. So which is in XML format. We'll have a JSON script as well. Just a second. Okay, so you're getting this policies on. Oh, fine. So it's up to, I mean, you can refer this as well. Cross-origin resource sharing. So you will have these kind of policies. I mean, your developers will prepare this cross-origin resource sharing policy in case if there is a requirement, but it is not being widely used. It is not being widely used, but you can just understand that there is an option like this given the requirement. Okay. So properties tab is over. Sorry, permissions tab is over. Now coming to metrics, this tab is not important. Coming to management. So under management, see, I told you, right? We have various tiers. We have almost 6 tiers of storage, and we can integrate all the tiers. Like after 30 days, you can move objects from one tier to another tier. Likewise, this is called life cycle rules. I mean, I said S3 life cycle management. If you want to enable S3 life cycle management, you have to come to this tab. Under management, you have it, and you can create a life cycle. In upcoming classes, I'll show you practically how to create it. Coming to replication rules. So replication means if you want to manually move the object from one bucket to the bucket, or you want to create a replication rule like automatic rule, so that objects will be copied from one bucket to other bucket, you have to set it here. And inventory configuration, this is not required. So this access point also, this is not required. This is optional. Now we have seen properties or configuration at bucket level. Now there are some options at object level as well. Click here. So under object level, to select the object, you will see some permissions here as well. So this is object overview S3 URI. I have already explained, right? So now you can enable versioning at object level as well. But the recommendation is, and the condition is, if you want to enable versions for your objects, you need to enable bucket versioning. You need to enable bucket versioning. If you don't enable versioning at bucket level, you cannot enable versioning for object level. That's what it says. Okay. And see, storage class. If you look at storage class, so what is the storage class of this object? What is the storage class of that object? That information, it is being given here. And if you want to change the storage class of this particular object, I mean, instead of implementing this lifecycle management rule, you can edit from here. You can edit from here. Now coming to this server side encryption. So server side encryption means it talks about encryption, whether you want to enable encryption for this object or not. Let's suppose in a bucket, there are so many objects. There are so many objects, but at bucket level, you did not enable encryption. But at an object level, if you want to enable encryption, so you can enable encryption only for the specific object. See, what are the options that you're seeing now? They are at object level. This will be applicable only for this object, not for the other objects in the bucket. Okay. Now, so additional checksums. So these additional checksums, these checksums are when you're copying data, when you're copying object from one place to other place, the checksum ensures that whatever the total size of the object, it is exactly copied. It is exactly copied. So, I mean, by default, it is off. So you can enable it, or you can even keep it like that. But what I'm trying to say is, checksum means it will ensure the data integrity, whether whatever the whole object or whole object size, let's say there is 50 KB object size is there, whether this entire object is being copied or not, that's what it verifies. It ensures. Okay. Coming to tags. So this tag is again all about whether what kind of object it is, what kind of object it is. For example, you have uploaded an image, I mean image of your personal photo or passport pic. So you can just select as name, then you can give a value as passport photo, passport pic. So it is for your easy identification. Now, what is this metadata? Metadata, it talks about what kind of images, what kind of objects that you're uploading. What is the content type? Currently, I have uploaded nature image. Okay. And this nature image it's a type of image type. It's not a video. In case if it is a PDF document, it will be displayed like PDF. In case if it's a video, it will be displayed like a video file. So based on the type of the object, this metadata will have the information. So what is the content type it is? What is the content type the object is? That is displayed here. As I said, object lock, it is currently disabled. And if you want to enable object lock, you need to explicitly request customer care support, right? And permissions. So again, what is this permission, guys? This permission, earlier you're able to access this image, right? Now, if I want to disable the permission, what you have to do, you have to click on here. Currently, everyone can access it. If I edit it and if I uncheck this one, I mean, public cannot access this. Public cannot access this. Now click on save changes. Now try to access the link, guys. Whatever the link that I have given, try to access the link. Are you able to access it or not? Are you able to see the data? Are you able to see the image, or are you getting error? Guys, are you there? Hello? You're getting error, right?
Yes, getting error.
Okay, what other access is denied?
Access denied.
Exactly, because I have disabled access for everyone. Now, if I want to enable it back, if I enable it back, then you will be able to see it. Go back. Now, go to permissions, click on edit and select read access. I understand. Now, save changes. 1 second. I clicked on add guarantee. Remove. Save changes. Now you refresh it. See, you got the you're able to access it now. So this is how you can control the permissions. So these are about, again, versions, like if you enable versioning. So this talks about versioning information and all. So that's all at a very high level. How to create a bucket and how to upload an object in that. So from tomorrow onwards, we'll see practically. So whatever the lab topics that I have said, versioning, and we'll start with versioning. We'll cover all the S3 lab topics. And I explained you, right, how to delete the S3 bucket. So just follow the same instructions to delete the bucket and all, right? So that's all for today. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Everyone understood today's session? Any doubts?
Yes, Rajesh.
Okay. Do you have any doubts?
Sir, actually, I have a doubt.
Okay, go ahead.
S3 bucket and storage ఉంది కదా సార్ ఇప్పుడు మనం యాక్చువల్లీ ఒక వెబ్సైట్ క్రియేట్ S3 bucket అప్లోడ్ చేసి ఆ S3
Uday, 1 second. Uday, 1 second. Others, can you please go on mute? Go ahead, Uday.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు మనం ఒక వెబ్సైట్ క్రియేట్ చేసి ఉంటాం అనుకోండి సార్ దాన్ని వెబ్సైట్ ని S3 bucket కి అటాచ్ చేసి ఉంటాం. అటాచ్ చేసి ఉంటే అది ఆ స్టోరేజ్ కాకుండా మన వెబ్సైట్ సర్వీస్ కూడా ఇస్తుంది S3 సర్వీసెస్. అదే ఇస్తుందా అని క్వశ్చన్.
Yeah, so the question is, see, you can enable, so this is your S3 bucket. Your question is whether you can enable website or not using this S3 bucket. Is that your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, we can enable. That's what I said. You can insert, you can store index.html file. You can insert index.html file and you can enable static website. But I explained you the advantages and disadvantages. So the disadvantages are, these are static website. For example, you will be able to download the object. Okay, you'll be able to see the object, but you cannot make any modifications. If you take IRCTC as an example, I cannot host IRCTC website on static website hosting because IRCTC and shopping websites, they have dynamic content, which means once you see the homepage, you will be updating information, right? Like source, from where you're traveling, what is your destination, passenger details and all. To store those kind of details, you need dynamic content. But S3 offers you only static content. That's why it says static website hosting. So given your requirement, if your requirement is people should be able to read the book, let us suppose, then you can happily host that website using S3 bucket. Or people should be able to see the content only, just read the content like newspaper, etc., etc. So those kind of things you can host it using S3. Okay, you understood the advantages and disadvantages. If you want to build big websites with high features like high availability, everything where database connections also required and all, that you cannot achieve with S3. So these are limitations. I'm going to show you practically as well how to enable S3 static website hosting. Okay.
Okay, sir. అదే డౌట్ వచ్చింది సార్. మనం స్టార్టింగ్ టైం లో ఇన్సిడెంట్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసి దానిపైన అప్డేట్ చేసి కోడింగ్
I explained you on Friday about this, the difference between web server and S3 website static website hosting. I'm not sure whether you attended or whether you missed it, but that is the main difference. Okay. Yeah. Krish, you are not audible. I mean, your voice is very low.
Can you hear me right now?
Some little distortion is there. but go ahead.
Okay, I don't know. What time is classes starting? I usually remember the 8:30. So then this class is just started, so it's finished.
You're saying some issue, but I'm not able to understand what is that issue. Your voice is breaking.
And started. Usual time is here in lesson is 8:35. 8:40. So I think
Krish, I'm hardly able to hear you. So why don't you drop an email or disconnect and connect back to the audio? Because I cannot hear you. Very low and breaking and all. Any others? Anybody else have questions?
Hi Rajesh.
Hi Rahul, tell me.
Yeah, it's not about today's session. It's a general question.
Okay.
Yeah, we are deleting security groups, or we are deleting photos, etc. In our machine or in AWS, whatever, whenever. So where does this goes? Where the deleted objects or files go?
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you ask me about S3, you know, when you S3, see, coming to what you said for initially, security groups, correct? So
Yeah.
security groups, when you're deleting it, you're deleting the security groups completely. So you can understand that it's a permanently delete. What exactly AWS is doing at the back end, we don't know, but generally they delete it, because when you're deleting it, they're asking for few things. They're asking for the confirmation, right? So confirm deletion, you know, or provide the S3 bucket name,
Yes,
etc., etc. So it means it is completely deleting. When you're deleting the key pair also, they are completely deleting it, because they can't hold data unnecessarily, right? If there is a provision that you can revert back, just like recycle bin, they will explain you that. But I mean, they will show you that option. But currently, you can just understand that when you're deleting it by providing confirmation, means you're permanently deleting it. AWS is not showing that.
No, not in AWS. Like in our movies or in our personal machine also, we delete the videos, right?
Right.
Movies, etc.
Right.
Where the deleted folders or files will go.
Okay.
Right.
So now currently, just understand that what will happen if you shift delete it
Sorry.
in your laptop. If you click on shift delete, I mean permanently deleting, no, rather than just delete option. If you click on shift delete, what will happen? It will permanently delete it, right?
Yeah, it's disappear from our machine, but I want to know where does it goes? Like,
so where does it go in sense?
it goes into air or like, yeah.
So it will simply erase it. It will perform an erase option. So if you erase an option, see on a white paper, for example, on a slate, you write something and you
Yes,
erase
yes.
it with a duster. Where does it go? It
Yeah,
goes to
the
the
powder
duster.
will, the minimum amount of powder will fall on the ground,
Exactly.
right? So
But
that's what I.
so that is a digital thing. That's a digital thing, Rahul. So interesting question. So digitally, probably it erases. So maybe I have to go back to the engineering topics and all to understand where exactly it is going.
I have this question in mind from my childhood, but nobody explained me.
Okay, I'll try to answer it before our course completion. Okay.
Okay,
When
okay,
you
thank
delete
you.
something, where exactly it's going? What exactly
Yes.
it's happening? Correct?
Yes.
Interesting question. Okay. Okay, Rahul. Any other question apart from this?
No.
Okay. So, Krish, is your audio clear now? Do you want to ask the question?
can you hear me again? So I don't know. So this is taking the class of via the laptop. So then I try to start on my desktop as well. So can you hear me?
So, guys, others are able to hear what Krish is saying. I'm not able to hear that properly.
No. We are
Right.
not able to hear.
Exactly. So, Krish, do one thing. Just drop me an email with your question. Okay. In the interest of time.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Krish. We are barely able to hear you. So please drop an email, or you can ask the question as soon as the class starts tomorrow. Right. Okay, others, if you don't have any questions, we can end today's session. Practice it for today, how to create an bucket and just upload an object and just go through the various options what I have explained. From tomorrow, we'll start, I'll start explaining other lab topics. Okay. So Chris, drop an email. Okay, drop an email if because we are not able to hear you properly. Bye everyone. Take care. Have a good day.